The alarm bells rang through the space station like angry metal birds. Lieutenant Maya Patel jumped from her chair and ran to the big computer screen. Red lights flashed everywhere. Something was wrong. Very wrong. "What is happening?" asked Captain James Woods as he rushed into the control room. His coffee mug was still in his hand, steam rising from the hot drink. Maya's fingers moved fast across the keyboard. Numbers and letters filled the screen. Her eyes grew wide as she read the message. "Sir, we are getting a signal from space. It is not from Earth. It is not from any of our ships." Captain Woods put down his coffee mug. He had been working in space for 20 years. He had never seen anything like this. "Are you sure it is not one of ours?" "I am sure, sir. The signal is coming from very far away. From outside our solar system." Maya's voice was shaking. She pointed at the screen. "Look at these patterns. This is not human language. This is something else." The signal was strange. It made sounds that no human could make. High and low notes, mixed together like a sad song. But there was something else in the signal. Something that made both humans feel cold inside. Fear. Pure fear. Captain Woods called the main office on Earth. "This is Station 7. We have a situation. We need to talk to the boss right now." Within minutes, the screen showed the face of Director Sarah Chen. She was the head of Earth's space program. Her dark hair was pulled back tight and her eyes were sharp like a hawk. "What do you have for me, Captain?" "Ma'am, we picked up a signal from deep space. It is not human. It might be from aliens." Director Chen's face did not change, but her eyes became more focused. "Send me everything you have. Right now." Maya pressed buttons and sent all the data to Earth. Director Chen watched the information flow across her screen. Her face grew pale. As she studied the alien message, "My God," she whispered. "Computer, translate this signal. Use all known language patterns." The computer worked for several minutes, and words appeared on the screen. Translation was not perfect, but it was clear enough to understand. "Help us. Please help us. Old ones have returned. They are coming. They eat worlds. They eat stars. Eat everything. We cannot stop them. Our ships are broken. Our people are dying. Please, anyone who can hear this, help us. Send your strongest warriors. Send your biggest ships. We are at the edge of the Veil Nebula. Grid position 77 Alpha. Please. Hurry. They are almost here," the message repeated over and over. Each time it played, the alien voice sounded more afraid. It's more desperate. Director Chen felt her heart beat faster. She had always wondered if humans were alone in the universe. Now, she had her answer. They were not alone, and the aliens were in trouble. "Captain Woods, I want you to monitor this signal. Do not let anyone else know about it yet. I need to make some calls." Director Chen turned off the video link and sat back in her chair. Her office was quiet except for the sound of air moving through the vents. On her desk was a red phone. She had never used it before. It was connected directly to the President of Earth. She picked up the phone. "Mr. President, this is Director Chen. We have a situation, a big situation." 30 minutes later, the President was in the Space Center. He brought his top military advisors with him. General Marcus Rivera was there too, was in charge of all space weapons. They listened to the alien message 3 times. The room was so quiet you could hear people breathing. "So," said the President slowly, "aliens are real, and they are asking for help." "Yes, sir," said Director Chen. "The question is, what do we do about it?" General Rivera stood up. He was a big man with gray hair and scars on his hands from old battles. "Sir, we have been building spaceships for 50 years. We have weapons that can destroy asteroids. We have ships that can travel faster than light. Maybe it is time to use them." President looked at the alien message on the screen. "How do we know this is not a trick? How do we know these aliens are good people?" Director Chen pulled up more data on her computer. "Sir, we have been watching space for a long time. We have never seen anything like this." The fear in their voice is real, and look at this. She pointed to star charts on the screen. In the last 6 months, 7 star systems in that area have gone dark. No light, no radio signals, nothing. Something is destroying everything in its path. The room fell silent again. Everyone was thinking the same thing. If something was eating entire star systems, what would happen when it reached Earth? General Rivera spoke first. Sir, I think we should help them. Not because we are nice people, but because whatever is hunting them will come for us next. The president nodded slowly. Many ships can we send? We have 12 big warships ready to go, plus supply ships and support craft. Maybe 40 ships. Total. How long to get there? 3 days, if we push the engines hard. The president was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. Do it. Send the fleet. Dud. But General, I want you to be careful. We do not know what we are flying into. General Rivera smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had been waiting his whole life for a real fight. Sir, I have been training for war my entire career. So have my people. We are ready. As the meeting ended, none of the humans knew what they were really about to do. They thought they were going to save some aliens from monsters. They did not know that they were about to become the monsters that other monsters feared. The alien signal kept playing in the background, calling for help from the strongest warriors in the galaxy. They had no idea that the most dangerous warriors in the universe had just answered their call. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Veil Nebula. Admiral Marcus Rivera stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, looking out at space through the big window. What he saw made him stop breathing for a moment. Ships. Hundreds of alien ships floating in the darkness. But these were not like human ships at all. They looked like flowers made of metal and light. Some were long and thin like snakes. Others were round like bubbles. They glowed with soft colors that changed slowly from blue to green to purple. My God, whispered Captain Sarah Chen, who stood next to the Admiral. They are beautiful. Alien ships were spread out in a loose circle around a large space station. The station looked like a crystal tree with many branches reaching out in all directions. Lights moved up and down the branches like fireflies dancing in the night. Lieutenant Maya Patel was at her computer station. Sir, we are getting signals from the alien ships. They're trying to talk to us. Put it on the main screen, said Admiral Rivera. The screen flickered and then showed the face of an alien. It had 4 eyes, blue skin, and a mouthful of small teeth. When it spoke, the computer translated its words into English. Unknown ships. This is Commander Zethkar of the Hegemony Coalition. We thank the great spirits that you have come to help us. Please identify yourselves. Admiral Rivera stepped forward. This is Admiral Marcus Rivera of the United Earth Fleet. We received your distress call. We are here to help. The aliens' 4 eyes grew wide. All 4 of them blinked at the same time. Earth, we have heard of your world. You're very far from here. Your people are... young. How did you travel so far so fast? We have good ships, said Admiral Rivera. He did not want to explain too much yet. Commander Zethkar looked confused. But our records show that Earth people only started flying in space 100 of your years ago. How do you have ships that can travel between stars? Captain Chen spoke up. We learn fast. The alien commander seemed to accept this answer. Please, follow our guide ships to the meeting station. All the fleet commanders are gathering to plan our defense. 3 small alien ships appeared next to the human fleet. They looked like silver fish swimming through space. The human ships followed them toward the Crystal Tree Station. As they flew closer, Admiral Rivera could see more alien ships arriving from different directions. Each group looked different from the others. Some ships were covered in spikes. Others were smooth like eggs. One group of ships seemed to be made of living wood with leaves growing on them. How many different alien races are here? Asked Captain Chen. Lieutenant Patel checked her computer. I count 47 different ship designs. Sir, that means at least 47 different alien races. Admiral Rivera nodded. And they all came here because they are afraid of something. The human ships docked with the Crystal Station. The docking bay was huge, big enough to hold a small city. Alien workers moved around like busy ants, loading supplies and fixing damaged Ship's Admiral Rivera and his team put on their spacesuits and walked into the station. The air was thick and smelled like flowers and metal. The gravity was lighter than Earth, so they felt like they were floating with each step. An alien guide met them at the door. It looked like a tall cat walking on two legs, with fur that sparkled. Like stars, welcome Earth humans. I am Guide Nella. Please follow me to the War Council. They walked through halls made of some kind of clear crystal. Outside the walls, they could see space and all the alien ships floating around the station. The halls were full of different kinds of aliens. Some looked like giant insects. Others looked like walking plants. One group looked like floating balls of light. All of them stared at the humans as they passed. Aliens whispered to each other in languages the computer could not translate. They seemed surprised to see us, said Captain Chen. Maybe they do not get many visitors from Earth, replied Admiral Rivera. They entered a large round room with a high ceiling. In the center was a table that glowed with soft light. Around the table sat the strangest collection of beings Admiral Rivera had ever seen. Commander Zethkar was there with his blue skin and 4 eyes. Next to him sat something that looked like a tree with arms and a face in the bark. Across from them was a creature that looked like it was made of living water, always changing shape but somehow staying together. There were many others, too many to count. All of them turned to look at the humans when they entered the room. Please, Earth. Friends, sit with us, said Commander Zethkar. He pointed to empty chairs that grew up from the floor like mushrooms. Admiral Rivera sat down. The chair was comfortable and seemed to shape itself to fit his body. Thank you for inviting us to your council. Commander Zethkar stood up. A picture appeared in the air above the table. It showed a map of space with many stars marked in different colors. This is our situation. The red stars are systems that have been destroyed. The yellow stars are systems under attack right now. The green stars are where we have evacuation ships. The map was terrible to look at. There were so many red stars. Whole sections of space were dark. What is destroying these systems? Asked Admiral Rivera. Another alien spoke. This one looked like a giant spider with jewels for eyes. They are old. Older than any of our civilizations. They sleep in the dark between stars for millions of years. Then they wake up and eat everything. Eat everything, said Captain Chen. The spider alien nodded. They eat planets. Yes. They eat stars. They eat the very fabric of space itself. They grow stronger with every world they consume. A hologram appeared. Above the table, showed ships that looked like they were made of bones and teeth. They moved through space like hungry sharks, attacking everything in their path. How many of them are there? Asked Admiral Rivera. We do not know, said Commander Zethkar. Our scouts report hundreds of their ships, maybe thousands. They are coming this way. The room fell quiet. All the aliens looked scared. Some of them were shaking. Admiral Rivera looked around the table. These aliens had technology that seemed like magic. They had ships that could travel between stars. They had lived in space for thousands of years, but they all looked like frightened children. What is your plan? He asked. Commander Zethkar pulled up another map. We will try to slow them down while our evacuation ships carry our people to safety. Some of us will stay behind and fight. We hope to buy enough time for most of our populations to escape. Escape to where? To the far edge of the galaxy. Maybe beyond. Admiral Rivera stood up slowly. All the aliens looked at him. You want to run away? What else can we do? Asked the spider alien. The Devourers have destroyed civilizations that were much stronger than ours. We cannot fight them. Admiral Rivera looked at Captain Chen. She had the same look in her eyes that he felt in his heart. It was a look that said these aliens did not understand what real fighting meant. Commander Zethkar, said Admiral Rivera. How long do we have before they get here? 6 of your Earth days. Maybe 7. Admiral Rivera nodded. That should be enough time. Enough time for what? Asked the tree alien. Admiral Rivera smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had been preparing for war his entire life. Enough time to show you how humans fight. The alarm bells screamed through the crystal station like angry metal birds. Commander Zethkar ran to the main control room. his forelegs moving as fast as they could. The screen showed something that made his blood turn cold. Ships, dark ships, coming out of the void between stars. They looked like they were made of bones and twisted metal. Some were small like fighter jets, others were huge like flying cities. All of them moved with hunger and purpose. "The Devourers are here," whispered the spider alien, her jeweled eyes reflecting the light from the screens. "They are 3 days early." Admiral Rivera stood calmly at the main table, watching the enemy ships approach. He did not look scared. He looked interested, like a teacher watching students solve a problem. "How many are there?" asked the lieutenant. Maya Patel checked her instruments. "I count 200 enemy ships in the first wave, sir. More are coming behind them." The alien commanders around the table started talking very fast in their own languages. The computer could not translate everything, but Admiral Rivera could hear the fear in their voices. Some of them were already giving orders to run away. "Attention, all ships," announced Commander Zethkar over the radio. "Begin evacuation, Protocol 7. All civilian ships retreat to safe distance. Military ships form defensive line Alpha." Admiral Rivera watched on the screens as the alien ships moved into position. They formed a long line between the Devourers and the evacuation ships. It was a good defensive position. It would let them fight while the civilians escaped. But Admiral Rivera had different ideas. "Captain Chen," he said into his radio, "are weapons ready?" Captain Chen's voice came back strong and clear. "All weapons loaded and ready, sir. Shall we take position in the defensive line?" "Negative. Form attack formation Beta. Going first." The alien commanders stopped talking and stared at Admiral Rivera. Commander Zethkar's 4 eyes were wide with shock. "Admiral, you cannot attack them directly. The Devourers are too strong. We must defend and retreat." Admiral Rivera smiled. It was the smile of a wolf who had found a flock of sheep. "Commander, humans do not retreat. We attack." On the screens, the human ships began to move. Instead of joining the defensive line, they accelerated straight toward the enemy fleet. The human ships were smaller than most of the alien vessels, but they moved with deadly purpose. "This is madness," said the tree alien. "They will be destroyed." Admiral Rivera activated his communicator. "All human ships, this is Admiral Rivera. Today we show the galaxy what humans can do. Remember your training. Remember why we are here. Attack formation Beta. Weapons free." The response came back from 40 human ships at once. "Yes, sir." The Devourer ships saw the humans coming and turned to meet them. The first enemy vessel was the size of a small moon, covered in spikes and teeth. It opened fire with weapons. That shot streams of red energy. Captain Chen's ship, the Defiance, took the first hit. The alien commanders expected to see it explode. Instead, the ship's shields flashed blue and held. The Defiance kept flying straight at the enemy. "Possible," whispered the spider alien. "That energy blast would destroy one of our battleships." The Defiance fired back. Its main guns shot metal slugs the size of cars at incredible speed. The projectiles hit the Devourer ship and punched holes right through its armor. Green blood sprayed out into space. But that was just the beginning. More human ships joined the fight. They moved like a pack of hunting wolves, working together to surround and kill their prey. When one human ship was damaged, 2 others would cover it while it retreated for repairs. The aliens watched in amazement as the humans used tactics they had never seen before. Human ships would ram into enemy vessels, using their thick armor, like battering rams. Others would fly so close to Devourer ships that they could not miss when they fired. "Look at this," said Lieutenant Patel, pointing at her screen. "Captain Martinez just rammed his ship into that enemy cruiser. His ship is damaged, but the enemy ship is breaking apart." Admiral Rivera nodded. "Captain Martinez knows what he is doing. His ship can be repaired. The enemy ship cannot." Radio, the humans were talking to each other during the battle, but they were not talking about retreat or evacuation. They were laughing. They were making jokes. They were enjoying themselves. "Target that big one on the left," said Captain Chen. Over the radio. I want to see how it handles our new missiles. Copy that, Sarah. This should be fun, replied Captain Johnson from the destroyer Vengeance. Commander Zethkar listened to the human radio chatter with growing horror. They're laughing while they fight. What kind of creatures are these? Human ships launched missiles that moved faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. The missiles hit their targets and exploded with the power of small suns. 3 Devourer ships simply disappeared in balls of white fire. But what scared the aliens most was not the human weapons. It was how the humans used them. When a human ship was too damaged to keep fighting, its captain would aim it at the biggest enemy ship and accelerate to ramming speed. Bridge to engine room, they could hear Captain Thompson saying over the radio, "Give me everything you have. I am going to ram that flagship." "Sir, that will destroy our ship," replied his engineer. "I know. That is the point. Sure, my family gets my medals." Captain Thompson's ship hit the Devourer flagship at tremendous speed. Both ships exploded in a flash that could be seen from the alien station. The alien commanders sat in shocked silence. They had just watched a human deliberately destroy himself and his crew to damage the enemy. Why did he do that? Asked the tree alien. Admiral Rivera looked at the alien with cold eyes. Because that is what humans do. We fight until we win or until we die. There is no other option. The battle continued for 2 hours. When it was over, 60 Devourer ships were destroyed or damaged beyond repair. The human fleet had lost 8 ships, but the remaining human vessels were still ready to fight. The Devourer fleet, for the first time in millions of years, retreated. They pulled back into the dark between stars to regroup and plan. Commander Zethkar stared at the battle reports in disbelief. "You defeated them. You actually made them run away." Admiral Rivera was reading reports from his captains. "This was just the first wave. There will be more. Bigger ones." "What do we do now?" asked the spider alien. Admiral Rivera looked up from his reports. His eyes were hard like steel. "Now we prepare for real war. And you are going to learn how humans really fight." The alien commanders looked at each other with a mixture of hope and fear. They had called for help from the strongest warriors in the galaxy. What they got was something much more dangerous. They got humans, and the humans were just getting started. 3 days after the first battle, the real nightmare began. Commander Zethkar stood in the Crystal Station's main control room, watching his sensors with all 4 eyes. What he saw made his legs shake with fear. The dark space between stars was opening up like a wound. Ship after ship poured out of the void. "How many?" he asked in a whisper. The spider alien, whose name was Keeper Vex, checked her instruments with trembling hands. "Over 800 ships. Some of them are... ... Stopped talking and stared at her screen. "What is it?" demanded Zethkar. "Some of them are the size of small moons. I have never seen Devourer ships that big before." Admiral Rivera walked into the control room. He had been sleeping for only 2 hours, but he looked ready for another fight. His gray hair was messy and his uniform was wrinkled, but his eyes were sharp and focused. "Show me," he said. The main screen displayed the approaching Devourer fleet. The alien commanders gasped when they saw it. The enemy ships looked like flying cities of bone and metal. Some had thousands of smaller ships attached to them like baby spiders on their mother's back. "My God," whispered the tree alien, whose name was Root Singer. "They brought everything. This is their full invasion force." Admiral Rivera studied the enemy formation with the calm of a man who had been expecting this moment his whole life. "How long until they reach us?" 6 hours, replied Keeper Vex. "Good. That gives us time to prepare our surprise." Commander Zethkar turned all 4 eyes toward the human admiral. "What surprise? Our defensive lines cannot stop a force that large. We must evacuate immediately." Admiral Rivera smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Commander, humans have been preparing for war for thousands of years. We have weapons that we hoped we would never need to use. Today, we use them." He activated his communicator. "All human ships, this is Admiral Rivera. Prepare for protocol. Omega, Authorization code 77 Alpha Death. The alien commanders heard strange responses coming from the human ships, voices that sounded excited and hungry. Finally, said Captain Chen over the radio, "I was wondering when we would get to use the real weapons." "About time," replied Captain Johnson. "My crew has been wanting to test our new toys." Admiral Rivera turned to the confused aliens. "Gentlemen, ladies, and honored beings, you are about to see why humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy." On the screens, the human ships began to change. Panels opened on their hulls. New weapons extended from hidden compartments. Energy readings that had been normal suddenly spiked to incredible levels. "What are those?" asked Commander Zethkar, pointing at strange objects being launched from the human ships. "Those are antimatter torpedoes," said Admiral Rivera casually. "Each one has the explosive power of a dying star." The alien commander stared at him in horror. "You brought star-killer weapons to a rescue mission?" demanded Rootsinger. "We brought the tools we needed to get the job done." The first antimatter torpedo reached the Devourer fleet. When it exploded, it created a ball of pure energy that consumed 3 enemy ships instantly. The light was so bright that the station's windows automatically darkened to protect everyone's eyes. But the humans were just getting started. "Deploy the quantum disruptors," ordered Admiral Rivera. New weapons fired from the human ships. These did not create explosions. Instead, they made enemy ships simply fall apart. The molecular bonds that held the Devourer vessels together were broken at the smallest level. Great warships dissolved into clouds of scattered atoms. Keeper Vex watched her instruments in disbelief. "Impossible. Those weapons are attacking matter itself." "How do you even build such things?" "Very carefully," replied Admiral Rivera. The Devourer fleet began to adapt. The enemy ships changed their formation and started firing back with weapons that could destroy planets. Beams of dark energy reached across space toward the human fleet. "Shields up," called Captain Chen over the radio. "Here comes their response." The alien commanders watched in amazement as the human ships took hits that would have vaporized their own vessels. The human shields held, flickering, but never failing. "How are your ships so strong?" asked Commander Zethkar. "We build them too. Survive nuclear war," said Admiral Rivera. These ships were designed to fight in the fires of dying worlds. The Devourers were learning fast. They began to coordinate their attacks, focusing all their firepower on one human ship at a time. The human destroyer Courage took too many hits and exploded in a ball of flame. "They are adapting to our tactics," reported Captain Chen. "Shall we escalate further?" Admiral Rivera nodded. "Deploy the relativistic kill vehicles? Sir, are you sure? Those weapons are... ... "I know what they are, Captain. Deploy them." The alien commanders watched as the human ships launched what looked like small asteroids. But these rocks were different. They accelerated to almost the speed of light before hitting their targets. When a relativistic kill vehicle hit a Devourer ship, the impact was like being struck by a comet traveling at the speed of thought. The target ship and everything around it simply ceased to exist. Even the space around the impact point seemed to bend and twist. "What have you done?" whispered Rootsinger. "Those weapons could crack a planet in half." "Yes," said Admiral Rivera. "That is why we built them." The Devourer fleet began to retreat. For the first time in millions of years, they were losing a battle. But they were also learning. The surviving ships were sending information to something deeper in space. "Something bigger, Admiral," said Lieutenant Patel, checking her long range. "Sensors. I am detecting movement in the deep void. Something very large is coming this way." Admiral Rivera looked at the readings. His face grew serious. "How large? It's the size of a small planet, sir? Maybe bigger?" The alien commanders fell silent. They all knew what this meant. The Devourers had called their mother's ship, their world eater, thing that had consumed entire star systems. "We must run," said Commander Zethkar. "No one can fight something that big." Admiral Rivera was quiet for a long moment, then he started laughing. It was not the laugh of a man who was scared. It was the laugh of a man who had finally found a challenge worthy of his people. Commander, he said, you still do not understand. Humans. We do not run from big things. We find bigger weapons. He activated his communicator again. All human ships, prepare for protocol extinction. We are going to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity. The alien commanders looked at each other with growing terror. They had called for help from the strongest warriors in the galaxy. What they got was a species that built weapons to kill planets and smiled while using them. The Devourers had awakened, something that had been sleeping in human hearts for thousands of years. The desire to destroy anything that threatened their survival, and now that desire was fully awake. The real war was about to begin. The thing that came out of deep space was not a ship. It was a nightmare made real. Commander Zethkar stared at the main screen with all four eyes wide open. The Devourer Mother ship was the size of Earth's moon, covered in millions of smaller ships like ticks on a giant beast. It pulsed with dark energy that made the fabric of space itself bend and twist around it. "It is impossible," whispered Keeper Vex, her jeweled eyes reflecting the terrible light from the screens.
"I'll nothing that."
Big should be able to move through space. Admiral Rivera stood calmly at the command table, studying the readings from his sensors. He looked like a man examining an interesting puzzle rather than facing the end of all life in the galaxy. "How many smaller ships?" he asked Lieutenant Patel. "I count over 50,000, sir. The main ship has weapons that could destroy a star." The alien commanders around the table were shaking with fear. Some of them had already started crying. Rootsinger's bark-like skin was turning gray with terror. "This is the end," moaned Commander Zethkar. "No force in the galaxy can stop the World Eater. It has consumed 1,000 civilizations." Admiral Rivera looked at the alien with cold eyes. "Then it is time for civilization number 1,000, and one to fight back." He activated his communicator. "All human ships, this is Admiral Rivera. Today, we make history. Today we show the universe that humanity bows to no one and nothing. Prepare for Operation Sunrise." The response from the human fleet was immediate and terrifying. 40 human voices answered at once, and they all sounded excited. Finally laughed Captain Chen. "I was getting bored. Time to show these bugs what real power looks like," added Captain Johnson. "Let's light up this corner of space," said Captain Martinez. The alien commanders listened to the human radio chatter in growing horror. These people were about to face something that had destroyed entire star systems, and they sounded like children about to open birthday presents. "What is Operation Sunrise?" asked Commander Zethkar. Admiral Rivera smiled. It was the smile of a man who had been saving his best surprise for last. "Something we hoped we would never have to use. Something we built just in case we ever met. Something too big to kill with normal weapons." On the screens, the human ships began to move into a perfect formation. They spread out in a wide circle around the approaching World Eater, each ship exactly the same distance from the others. Said Lieutenant Patel. "All ships are in position. Fusion cores are at maximum power. Quantum field generators are online." Admiral Rivera nodded. "Commence Operation Sunrise." The human ships began to glow. Energy readings that were already impossible climbed even higher. Space around each human vessel started to shimmer like water in the sun. "What are they doing?" demanded Rootsinger. "They are turning their ships into weapons," replied Admiral Rivera. "Each ship is now a small artificial star." The Devourer World Eater seemed to sense the danger. It launched every ship it carried. 50,000 enemy vessels poured out of the mothership like angry wasps from a broken nest. They raced toward the human formation. "Here they come," announced Captain Chen over the radio. "All ships, remember your training. Hold formation no matter what." The Devourer ships hit the human formation like a dark wave crashing against a stone wall. Explosions lit up space as thousands of weapons fired at once. 3 human ships were destroyed immediately, then 5 more, then 10. But the remaining human ships held their positions. They kept channeling more and more energy into their quantum field generators, even as enemy fire tore them apart. "They're all going to die," said Keeper Vex in horror. "No," said Admiral Rivera quietly. "They are going to win." The energy readings from the human ships reached a critical point. Space itself began to change around them. Reality started to bend and twist as the humans pushed the laws of physics to their breaking point. All ships, called Admiral Rivera, over the radio, execute Sunrise Protocol for humanity, for Earth, for everyone who comes after us, for humanity, shouted 40 human voices at once. The human ships fired their quantum field generators all at the same time. Instead of shooting at the enemy, they aimed their weapons at empty space in the center of their formation. The beams met at a single point, and something impossible happened. A new star was born. The artificial sun blazed to life in the middle of the battle, burning with the fury of 1 billion hydrogen bombs. But this was not a normal star. It was made of pure quantum energy, and it grew larger every second. The Devourer ships closest to the new star simply evaporated. Those farther away were pulled into its gravity and consumed. Even the Great World Eater began to shake as the artificial star's gravity reached out to grab it. "Impossible," whispered Commander Zethkar. "You cannot create a star from nothing. Humans have been splitting atoms for 300 years, said Admiral Rivera. Making stars was the logical next step. The battle was over in minutes. The artificial star consumed the entire Devourer fleet, including the World Eater. The nightmare that had destroyed 1,000 civilizations was gone, turned into light and energy that would burn for 1,000,000 years. But the cost was terrible. Of the 40 human ships that started Operation Sunrise, only 12 survived. 28 crews had died to birth a star. The alien fleets hung in space around the new sun, their crews staring in shocked silence. They had witnessed something that would be told in stories for the rest of time. The day humans killed death itself. "It is over," said Admiral Rivera simply. "The Devourers are extinct." Commander Zethkar activated the fleet communication system. His voice shook as he spoke to every alien ship in the area. "This is Commander Zethkar to all Coalition vessels. The threat has been eliminated. The humans have saved us all." Cheers erupted from thousands of alien ships. Voices in dozens of languages sang songs of joy and victory. The nightmare was over. They could go home, but Admiral Rivera noticed something troubling on his sensors. The alien ships were not flying together as they left. Each group was taking a different route home. They were avoiding each other. "Captain Chen," he said over the radio, "are you seeing this?" "Yes, sir. They are all flying away from each other, like they are afraid." Commander Zethkar approached Admiral Rivera with careful steps. His 4 eyes looked nervous. "Admiral, on behalf of the Galactic Coalition, I formally invite humanity to join our civilization. We offer trade agreements, technology sharing, and cultural exchange." Admiral Rivera studied the alien commander's face. "That is very generous. But you look worried, Commander." "I am not worried," said Zethkar quickly. "I am grateful. We all are." But Admiral Rivera could see the truth in the aliens' eyes. They were terrified. They had called for help and received it. But now they realized what they had unleashed. The humans had saved the galaxy by creating a weapon that could birth stars. They had casually committed genocide against a species that had terrorized the universe for millions of years. And they had done it all while laughing and making jokes. "I understand," said Admiral Rivera softly. "You are wondering if you made a mistake calling us." Commander Zethkar could not meet the humans' eyes. "You saved us all. But the power you showed today, ... it frightens us." Admiral Rivera nodded. "It should frighten you. It frightens us too. That is why we only use it when we have no choice." As the alien fleets scattered to their home worlds, each taking a different path through space, they all carried the same message. Humanity had answered their call for help. The galaxy was safe. But now the galaxy had to figure out how to live with its saviors. The humans had proven they could protect the universe. The question now was, who would protect the universe from the humans? Admiral Rivera stood alone on his bridge, looking out at the new star his people had created. It burned bright and beautiful, a monument to human determination and alien fear. The war was over. But for humanity, a different kind of challenge was just beginning.